Hello there, Vic Benedict here. We're playing God of War 2 on Titan difficulty. This is my no upgrade run plus. We are now on Installment the 17th, and we are doing the pair of Zeus battles that marks the end of the game. So for some reason they throw you this crummy fight into the final boss segment here, and I have no idea why they have this and why we're fighting these Siren Widows again, which is probably one of the lamest enemies in the game. And it's cool though, because you can actually go into the menu and look at the Blade of Olympus and see that it's locked as far as upgrading its abilities. I think it's on level 3. If it has those like energy beams shooting out of it, then it is on level 3, and I think it is actually. So all you really need to do here, guys, is just grab these Siren Widows, do the quick time event, and anytime he does an attack, drop Atlas's Quake. And you can use the Blade of Olympus from range with L1 plus triangle to shoot this energy beam and just continually damage his hand, and then that will be the first fight. And then we will do the next one, which is a 4-segment phase. 2 of the phases are duplicates though, so it's really helpful and it pays off to practice this first phase because it's mirrored in the 3rd phase. Pretty much like it's exactly mirrored. I mean, I don't think there's anything that changes about it at all. So this is the first segment here of 4, and I don't have too much magic here, and they don't give you many drops at all. I've got a good amount of health, but the magic was lacking. So he's got a 3-hit combo. The first 2 hits can be blocked and or parried, but the 3rd attack, you need to get the hell away from it if it ever transpires that that he does it, because he'll always do it, of course, but you'll have iframes to go through it with the Golden Fleece parry. So just be aware of that. And then when he does this, where he kind of like raises his hands to summon some lightning, and then does a ground punch and then an AoE, what you need to do is just roll away from the first blast, so you're out of the radius of the punch on the ground, and then just jump over the AoE. That's all you've got to do. And how this works basically is you'll hit him, and just be aware that the recovery time for the Blade of Olympus, you should remember it from having used it at the beginning of the game. The recovery time, I say, is very heavy. So you're going to be going up to him, parrying his lightning, and you'll get a health drop and a magic drop every time you parry it. And then double jump when he charges at you. And that is one of the most consistent things about that. Just parry the lightning, double jump, and glide. I would say double jump and glide a little bit. Now, if you want to use the rage, you can. I also experimented after double jumping and gliding, pressing L1 and triangle to do that really heavy attack. That's probably the strength heavy move of this weapon. But he would often interrupt me, so I wouldn't really recommend it unless you can get away with it, just because of the recovery time. And I would just not use magic and not use rage here, because the next phase is pretty difficult, and you'll want to save it up. So yeah, just keep going, keep working on him, keep chipping away at his health. Just don't do too many hits, and I would say never integrate any triangle attacks, because Kratos will jump up into the air, and God help you at that point, because you've got so much recovery that you'll probably die. It's that bad on this difficulty with this little health. So just remember, the more that you get more proficient at this phase, the more that phase 3 will be simple. Okay, so he's in phase 2 now. He'll lunge at you and grab you and not deal damage to you. So in this phase, go to town with the rage of the Titans and start using magic. What I do is I use square attacks exclusively, and then when he's about to hit me, I drop magic, even though I'm using the rage. And also beware that he blocks quite a bit, so you're not dealing too much damage. So that's why if you add the magic attack, then offset some of that damage that he's blocking. And of course, I need some water. Hold on. Of course, you can still get hit with the Rage of the Titans, but it's less than you would normally get hit. That's how it works. Although I don't think you should get hit with it activated. And then, just to finish him off, what I would recommend is the Super Plume. And I was pretty conservative here with my magic, and I didn't use the magic. I don't think so. But you can use it like if you sense that he's going to attack you and you're in a corner or something. But the way this works, it's really done well. If you have distance in between you and him, he pretty much just walks over to you, and you have a great opportunity to hit him with the Super Plume. This is a pretty lengthy process, but if you make, the more contact you make, I should say, with the Rage of the Titans, the more times you use magic at the beginning, then the fewer of these you'll have to use on him, or the less, I should say, the less of these you'll have to use, since we can't count the number of times where well, I guess we could count it, but that's aside the point. And as you can see, he's doing his own sort of L1 plus triangle attack with a lightning effect on it, and you don't want to get hit here. And I don't have to tell you how much he'll hit you, because you know. And we did use a lot of the Rage of the Titans, and we're going to have to use it again to break his shield in Phase 4. However, it should accrue enough to the point where we have enough to use it in Phase 4, and we don't need too much. It's just, this is a pretty tough phase, I found, in a fight that has 0 checkpoints until you're doing the QTEs at the end, which, in my opinion, are harder than the boss, because they happen so quickly. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, this is a pretty safe strategy. And we don't have too much health, but once we break him down enough, he'll drop some health. I think this is the point at which he does that. So there's the circle button prompt. You have to really quickly tap the button here, and then Kratos will throw him against these pillars, and then you'll run up to one of the pillars and then interact with it with the R1 button. The next time you do this, it will mean that you've done the fight. Okay, here's Phase 3, and I'm not going to say anything about this fight, this part of the fight, because we already talked about it in Phase 1, so I could do a couple of reflections about this, because I never thought I would be able to do this. At the outset of the No Upgrade Run Plus, I did think I would be able to do it, but I was overestimating my ability to do the Protect the Translator section, because that part, 92 hours, it just speaks for itself. It's insane how difficult that is, and how contingent it is on luck and variables that are outside of your ability to control anything. Yeah, I think we've gone over this, right? So now we're just accumulating our rage, and all the health and all the magic, it does add up. It's pretty sparse of drops, but if you don't take damage and you let it all add up, I mean, look how much health and magic we have. That's a lot better than we started out this phase on. The splash of his attacks when he does that AoE is pretty generous. It's not the fairest thing in the world. It's not the most unfair thing. It's pretty good for what it is. But I would really be careful of over hitting with this weapon. Just do a couple of attacks and then just stop, because the recovery time on this weapon is absurd. It's horrible. It kind of ruins the weapon, in my opinion. But once you get to Phase 4, as long as you have some rage and some magic, pretty much consider the fight yours. So this is really only a 3-phase fight when you think about it, because there's nothing really that depends on any sort of skill over here on Phase 4. Now, I don't know how this would be handled on Pain Plus, guys, but I have to stress once again that we're not doing Pain Plus, so I don't know. That always instills in me quite a bit of fear thinking about that, and also thinking about how I would do like the Translator and the Loom Chamber without, upgrades, or using the Barbarian Hammer or whatever I would need to do it. But maybe in the future, maybe guys, I don't know. I thought this game was a little easier than I remembered it, but it's goddamn hard on a no upgrade run. It's fucking hard. It's killer. I just had no idea. You know, you think you're hot shit, and then you get put in your place for 92 hours. Okay, so yeah, this guy should almost be finished up. I mean, look how much. Look, we had like half health, and because we've been consistent with not getting damaged too much, like we're almost at full health, and we've got half our magic back. So we're doing pretty well. Okay, that's it. I mean, we pretty much will win now because all we need to do is activate Rage of the Titans. So here's his shield. I'm not positive, but I think you have to use Rage of the Titans here because on Shinobier's Pain Plus run, I think he was using that. So unless he was violating the rules on accident, I'm not sure. Anyway, that would suck. If you failed it right there, I wonder how much progress you would lose. That would really be horrible. And then speaking of horrible, we've got some QuickTime events after this next checkpoint. But fortunately, they give you a checkpoint over here. So I probably did remark about this last time in 2012, how I have to press the start button like prior to and during the QuickTime event to register what the button is because it's inconsistent. They normally give you more time to press the button, so this is more of like God of War 1 type of shit where they just don't give you too much time to press these buttons. I think there's 3 that you have to press. Here's the checkpoint. And it's just kind of frustrating because if you fail the QuickTime events, you've got to watch all this stuff again. So I just don't mess around with it. So any wild kind of weird edits that you see over here is because I had to edit out every time I press the pause screen. And it's not really out of shame that I'm doing that. It looks silly and I don't like to have it in my walkthroughs. So we have one more installment, guys, because we have a little bit left to do after this boss fight. But I wanted to thank each and every one of you for watching this, and I am going to see you in the 18th and final installment of the No Upgrade run. So yeah, so there's the QuickTime events. There's probably one more, isn't there? Yeah, there it is. Now, that one I didn't press the start button. I don't know, I guess I got lucky or emboldened somehow, but anyway, take care. We'll finish this guy off brutally, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.